Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this afternoon, just a celebration of our wonderful nurses here in Banff. You won't need any props for this afternoon's practice. We'll get started off in Child's Pose. So just sitting onto your heels, resting your belly to the top of your thighs, and allowing your forehead to the floor. Oh shoot, it says unavailable. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for joining this afternoon in celebration of our wonderful nurses here in Banff. You shouldn't need any props for this afternoon's practice, so we'll get started in Child's Pose, sitting down onto your heels, resting your belly to the top of your thighs, and allowing your forehead to rest to the ground. So feel free to either extend your arms fully forward or draw them back at your sides, however your chest and your shoulders are most comfortable. Feel free to stack your fists beneath the forehead, making sure your head has something solid to rest on. And now close your eyes. Let your chest, your belly rest heavily to the top of your thighs. And just begin with 10 full deep breaths, signaling the nervous system that it's time to switch gears. We practice on and off our mat to enlighten our living. Nothing has changed. Still the difficulties, the challenges, the moments of doubt, the evening time of aloneness. Still the world with all of its harsh realities, cruel fortunes, and unequivocal demands. Still the misunderstandings, the necessary compromises, the breakthroughs and the triumphs. Still the ups and the downs. Practice cannot and does not eliminate these extremes. What practice does do is give us direct access to an internal and ever-present refuge of peacefulness that exists inside of and despite all of these polarities. I'll begin to deepen your breath. And now to initiate your Ujjayi Breath, create a slight restriction in the back of your throat, allowing your breath to become audible, both on the inhalation and the exhalation. Create one continuous sound as you breathe. And now take a few moments to settle into this breath. Now maintaining this sense of internal awareness, from here rise onto all fours, coming up onto your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, float your hips toward the ceiling, rising into your first downward facing dog, bending one knee into the next, pedaling the heels up and down. Work all of the kinks and the cracks out of the ankles and the knees. And now gradually begin to lengthen through your legs, but keep a soft bend in your knees as you walk your hands all the way back to your toes, moving to a forward fold at the back of your mat. And just take hold of your elbows. Let your upper body hang heavily over your thighs. Neck stays relaxed, breath stays steady, gazing softly past the tip of your nose. Feel free to sway your upper body gently from one side to the other. And now coming back to center, release your elbows, bend your knees, palms to the floor, walk your hands forward, returning to downward dog. And now shift forward into upper plank, drawing your shoulders forward over your wrists, pressing back into the heels, reaching forward through your collarbones. If this is too much of a challenge, lower your knees to the ground. Keeping your core strong, elbows tucked in, lower all the way down onto your belly. And when you arrive there, turn your right ear to the floor and extend your arms wide to the sides in a T position. Now drawing the left knee out to the side to about the level of your left hip. Keep the knee bent so you have a right angle between your calf and your thigh. Allow that left hip to melt toward the floor. So I know it's been a challenging year for all of us, you nurses especially. And our nervous systems are wired in such a way that when we're under stress, our hip flexors are activated through the sympathetic nervous system. And that all makes sense when we're in physical danger, preparing the body to fight or to flee. But if we're chronically under stress and our hip flexors are chronically activated, they can become chronically shortened. And it's kind of like going through life with the brakes on. So I thought in our practice today that I would include lots of hip flexor opening postures into the flow. So we're getting into those psoas muscles on the left side here in particular, with the knee out to the side. Take a few more big breaths. And now draw your head to the center, extend the left leg back out behind you and turn your left ear to the floor. And now switching sides, draw the right knee out to the side to the level of your hip. Again, a right angle roughly between the calf and the thigh. Encourage that right hip to melt toward the floor. So perhaps feeling the stretch into those inner thigh muscles on the right side as well. Keep your breath steady, your breath audible. Now extend your right leg back out behind you. Draw your head to center. And now reposition your hands directly beneath your shoulders. Rise onto all fours. Tuck your toes under and now again. And take a few deep. Shifting your weight to your left foot behind you. Bend your knee. Allow your heel to roll over your left hip. Keeping that supporting leg nice and strong. Lifting the knee in the sky as high as you can, perhaps feeling the stretch through the front of that right hip and thigh. Now straighten your right leg back out behind you, lower your foot to the floor, and switch sides. Lift the left leg high behind you, bend your knee, allow your heel to roll over your right hip. Pressing equally into both palms. Straighten the left leg back out behind you, and now take a big step forward between your hands, ankle beneath the knee. Step the right foot forward to join the left. Inhale, chest lifts. As you exhale, fold forward. As you inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. As you exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands down, heart lifts. Palms to the floor, step your left foot back into a lunge. Now dropping the left knee to the floor, place your right hand to your right thigh. Inhale, reach through the left arm. Allow the hips to shift forward. As you exhale, plant your palms to the ground. Inhale just to lift the left knee. Exhale, step back and lower with control. Drop the knees if you need to. Point the toes, little cobra or full upward dog, your choice. Exhale, lift the hips, roll over the toes to take 5 audible breaths in downward dog. So as always, child's pose is an option here if you need to take a break. Keep the breath steady, the breath audible, breathing into a slow count, out to a slow count of 4. This breath of equal length is most conducive to calming and clearing the mind. Take one more big breath in, and at the bottom of your next breath, step the left foot forward, ankle beneath the knee. Drop the right knee to the floor, keep the toes tucked under, left hand to left thigh. Inhale, reach into the right arm. As you exhale, palms to the ground. Inhale just to lift the right knee. Exhale, right foot steps forward to join the left. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise, arms overhead. As you exhale, palms to heart. Same sequence again. Inhale, extend the arms. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, heart lifts. Palms to the floor, step the left foot back. Drop the left knee to the ground, right hand to right thigh. Inhale, reach into the left arm. As you exhale, palms to the floor. Inhale just to lift the left knee. Exhale, step back and lower. Keep the gaze forward. Inhale to rise upward. Exhale, downward facing dog for another 5 lengthy breaths. Letting your head hang nice and heavily between the shoulders. Feel as if you're lengthening from the outer hips right through to your pinky fingers. Your body in a perfect inverted V position. Take one more full breath in. At the bottom of your next breath, step the left foot forward. Drop your right knee to the floor, left hand to left thigh. Inhale, reach through the right arm. As you exhale, palms to the floor. Inhale just to lift the right knee. Exhale, right foot steps forward to join the left. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise, arms overhead. As you exhale, palms to heart. One more of the same. Inhale, extend your arms. Exhale, bow deeply over your thighs. Inhale, heart lifts. Palms to the floor, left foot back into a lunge. Drop the knee to the floor, right hand to right thigh. Inhale, reach into the left arm. Exhale, palms to the ground. Inhale just to lift the left knee. Exhale, step back and lower with control. Inhale to rise upward. Exhale, downward. Another 5 restful breaths. The sound of your breath has a nervous system. Take one more deep belly breath in, and at the bottom of your next breath, step the left foot forward. Right knee to the floor, left hand to left thigh. Inhale, reach into the right arm. Exhale, palms to the floor. Inhale to lift the right knee. Exhale, right foot steps forward to join. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise, arms overhead. As you exhale, palms to heart. This is where it changes. Inhale, extend your arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, heart lifts. Palms to the floor. Step the left foot back. Lift it this time. Drawing your hands to your hips. Rise all the way up into Crescent Lunge, resting on the ball of that back foot. Take a moment, find your balance, set your drishti. And now soften into the left knee until it hovers just barely above the ground. Scoop the tailbone under, press the hips forward to bring the stretch deeply into your hip flexors on that left side. Shoulders are relaxed. Steady breath. And now tap your left knee to the floor and straighten the leg out behind you. Extend the arms overhead. Feel free to lift your gaze here. If you're choosing to gaze upward, keeping some length and strength through the back of the neck, rather than allowing the head to fall all the way back. Now take one more full breath in, head to center, drop the left heel, and open the arms wide into Warrior Two. Make sure your arms are aligned with the long edge of your mat. Shift your gaze over your middle finger on your right hand and settle even more deeply into your lunge. Your spine perpendicular to the floor beneath. Now just for a breath, straighten your right leg, and now add even more depth to your lunge. Flip the right palm to the ceiling, inhale, reach up and back, Exalted Warrior. The left hand trickles softly down the outside of the left leg, gazing towards your higher hand. Take one more full breath in, exhale back to center. Sweep the left arm forward, plant your palms to the floor on either side of your foot, and now pop back up onto the ball of that back foot again. Drop your left knee to the floor, keep the toes tucked under, and place both hands to the top of the right thigh. Shift the hips forward, soften through the shoulders. Now extend your left arm to the ceiling, lift your gaze, windmill that left arm out behind you, and begin to walk your left hand down the back of the left leg. The right arm reaches toward the ceiling. Continue to draw the hips forward as you reach up and back through that right arm. A nice gentle arch through the spine. Nice and long through that back leg. Take one more full breath in. Place your right hand back to your right knee. Sweep the left arm forward, palms to the floor. Now lift your left knee to the floor and step back into a three-legged dog, extending that right leg back out behind you. Transitioning into Pigeon Pose from here, draw the right knee forward, placing your knee to the floor beside your right thumb. Point the toes on the back foot and feel free to draw that left foot a little further forward if you're looking to deepen the stretch through that right hip. Walk your hands in towards your hips to start off. Get nice and long through the spine. And now gently ease the upper body forward. And I suggest you pause here on the forearms for a few big breaths just to make sure the right knee is feeling safe before you fold even further forward. So as long as that right knee is comfortable, resting your forehead to the floor, perhaps extending the arms fully forward, encouraging the front of that left hip to drop so your hips are square to the floor beneath. Lengthen right into the tips of the toes on the left foot so the very top of the foot is resting on the floor rather than rolling into the inner or the outer ankle. Well, a little bit of a longer hold here as we get into that really dense, strong, connective and muscle tissue surrounding the hips. So take the time here to reconnect with your breath. Take 3 more of your fullest breaths. And now slowly walk your hands back and towards your hips. Tuck the toes under on the left foot to lift the knee. Step the right foot back into upper plank and take a nice slow vinyasa. Squeeze the elbows in as you lower. Inhale to rise upward and exhale all the way back into downward dog. Take 5 big breaths here, stretching out that right knee in particular. The drishti in this posture, the gazing point, is all the way back toward the navel, so the neck is fully relaxed. Take one more full breath in, and at the bottom of your next breath, step the left foot forward, ankle beneath the knee. Keep the right knee lifted. Rise all the way up once again to place your hands to your hips. Take a moment here, find your balance. And now bend your right knee until it hovers just above the ground. Scoop the tailbone under, press those hips forward, getting back into those hip flexors, back into those psoas muscles. Shoulders relaxed. Now tap your right knee to the floor and straighten the right leg. Extend the arms overhead. Again, lifting the gaze is optional. Reaching into the fingertips, soft and relaxed through the tops of the shoulders. Take one more full breath in. Draw your head to center. Drop the right heel and spread the arms wide. Warrior two. Feeling that subtle activation of your core, tucking the belly inward. Now just for a breath, straighten your left leg. Add a little bit more depth to your lunge. Flip the left palm to the ceiling. Inhale, reach up and back. Keep the back leg fully straightened. Take one more big breath in. Back to center. Sweep the right arm forward. Palms to the floor. Hop up onto the ball of the back foot. Drop your knee to the ground. Keep the toes tucked under. Place both hands to the left thigh. Once again, the hips melt forward, shoulders relaxed. And as we did on the opposite side, left hand to left knee, sweep the right arm to the ceiling, lift your gaze. And now extend that right arm back to slide your fingertips down the back of the leg. Left arm reaches up and back, hips shift forward. Now take one more big breath in. Place your left hand to your left thigh. Windmill that right arm forward to plant your palms to the floor on either side of the foot. Lift your right knee to the floor from the floor and now step back into that three-legged dog. Left leg reaches back. Transitioning back into Pigeon Pose. Place the left knee to the floor beside your left thumb. Again, feel free to draw that left foot a little further forward to deepen the rotation through that left hip. Hands in toward the hips, long through the spine, long through that back leg. And now gently wave the upper body forward to either hold it here on the forearms, perhaps to fold all the way forward, your choice. So not only do we need to stretch out our hip flexors, we really consciously need to learn to relax through the hip flexors. So notice here if you're resisting the stretch at all through the hips. Identify primarily and then direct your breath into the sensations. Encourage those muscles to soften, to lengthen with your breath. Front of the right hip drops just slightly. The toes. Take 3 more of your deepest breaths. And now slowly walk your hands back in toward the hips. Curl your toes under on your right foot to lift the knee. And now step back into your three-legged dog, sweeping that left leg out behind you. Stretch out the knee. And now step your left foot forward to the top of your mat. Step the right foot forward to join the left. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise all the way up, arms overhead. As you exhale, hands to heart. Now releasing your arms to your sides in preparation for tree pose. Shifting your weight to your left foot. Either position the right foot to the floor, heel resting to the inner ankle, or you can draw the foot to the inner calf below the knee or the inner thigh above the knee. Hands to heart. Take a moment here, find your balance, set your drishti. And then whenever you're ready, reach into the fingertips, separate your palms and allow the shoulders to relax. If your foot is to the top of your thigh, feel the inner thigh press firmly back into the sole of the foot. Your standing leg. Take one more full breath in. As you exhale, draw your hands to your heart. Place your hands to your hips. And as you release your right foot, extend that right leg out in front. Let it float. And lower your foot to the ground. Release your arms to your sides. Shifting your weight to your right foot now to switch sides. Position the left foot however you did on the opposite. Inner calf, inner thigh, hands to heart. Whenever you're ready, reaching into the fingertips, separating the palms. And to quote Buddha, pain and pleasure, joy and sorrow come and go like the wind. It's like a great tree in the midst of it all. Take one more full breath in. As you exhale, draw your hands to your heart, hands to hips. And as you release your left foot, send that left leg forward. Let it float. And lower your foot to the ground. Release your arms to your sides. As you inhale, extend the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, heart lifts. Palms to the floor. Step the left foot. Now knee to the floor. And this time, point the toes on the back foot. Begin with both hands to the top of your right thigh, letting those hips melt forward, shoulders nice and relaxed. Now extend both arms to the ceiling. Keep your head in a level, neutral position. So you can simply hold it here with the hips shifted forward. If you're looking for a deeper stretch through the hip flexors on the left side, press firmly into the toenails, into the top of that left foot, and see if you can lift your left knee from the ground. Keep the breath flowing. Take one more big breath in, and if you've chosen to lift that left knee, gently lower the knee to the floor. And now plant your palms to the floor on the inside of your right foot. In preparation for lizard pose, pivot on the right heel to turn the foot outward slightly. You might choose to hold it here on straight arms. You might soften slightly into the elbows, or you might lower all the way down onto your forearms. So take your time, find a comfortable depth. Continue to shift the hips forward here. So you're lengthening through the front of that left hip and thigh. And also a deep stretch through that right hip, through the glutes on the right side. If you're all the way down onto your forearms, work toward distributing the weight equally between both elbows. Prolong your exhalation. And once again, really consciously soften into the muscles surrounding the hips. If you're all the way down onto your forearms, slowly rise back up onto your palms. And now straighten out the right foot to face forward And reposition your right hand to the outside of that right foot. Tuck the toes under on the left foot, lift the knee, and now step all the way back into that three-legged dog again, lengthening through the right leg. Now for a different variation of pigeon pose, gazing forward, place your right knee to the floor, once again beside the right thumb. Point the toes on the back foot. Now this time, let your right sitting bone drop to the floor, so you'll twist slightly toward the left-hand side of your mat. With your left hand, slide that right heel forward until your shin runs parallel with the top edge of your mat. The foot flexes in toward the knee. Now position your hands in front of your right shin and work towards squaring off the shoulders, drawing that left shoulder forward, lengthening through the back leg. Now either hold it here with straight arms. If your hips are really tight, you might even choose to bend that back knee slightly, your choice. Alternatively, you can begin to bend into the elbows, perhaps to lower down onto the forearms. If you have really open hips, perhaps resting your forehead to the floor to extend the arms fully forward. And then once you've settled into a comfortable depth, you might even begin to square off the hips, dropping the front of that left hip slightly toward the ground. So this variation of pigeon brings the stretch into a very different aspect of the hips and also into the hamstrings. Take a few more deep belly breaths. To your forehead or your forearms, slowly. Now with your left hand, tuck the right heel in toward the front of your left hip. Plant your palms to the floor, tuck the toes under on the left foot to lift the knee. Step back into upper plank and lower slowly. Hover here if you can. Inhale, little cobra or upward dog. Exhale, lift the hips, roll over the toes. Downward facing dog for 5 audible breaths. Noticing that brief moment of stillness at either end of the breath. Watching there as your breath arises spontaneously. And now preparing to repeat that same sequence on the opposite side. At the bottom of your next breath, the left foot steps forward, ankle beneath the knee. Lower your right knee to the floor, point the toes, and begin with both hands to the top of your left thigh, shifting the hips forward, softening through the shoulders. Now re-extend both arms to the ceiling. Keep your head level. Once again, with the option of lifting that right knee as you press really firmly into the top of the foot. Your choice. If you've chosen to lift that right knee, gently lower the knee to the floor. Place your palms to the floor on the inside of that left foot. Pivot on the heel to turn the foot outward slightly. Either hold it here with straight arms, perhaps soft elbows, or maybe even lowering all the way down onto your forearms. So try to recreate the same depth that you did on the opposite side, creating balance, creating symmetry in the body. Continue to let the hips melt forward as you lengthen through that back leg. Take 3 more of your fullest breaths. And if you've lowered all the way down, rise back up onto your palms. Turn the left foot forward to straighten out that left foot and reposition your hands on either side of that front foot. Now tuck the toes under on your right foot, lift the knee, and step back into your 3-legged dog, reaching into that left leg. And now back into pigeon pose, placing the left knee to the floor beside your left thumb. Point the toes on the back foot. Now let your left sitting bone collapse to the floor, and with your right hand, begin to guide that left heel forward until the shin runs parallel again with the top edge of your mat. Feel free to bend into that back knee if you need to. Work towards keeping the legs straight. Hands in front of the left shin to either hold it here on straight arms, perhaps dropping down onto the forearms, perhaps resting your forehead to the floor to extend the arms fully forward. And then from this position, dropping the front of the right hip if you can, as you work towards the knee. Make sure your left foot stays flexed in toward the knee, keeping the ankle strong, protecting the knee. If you've lost the sound of your breath, recreate the restriction again in the back. Take 3 more deep breaths. And now slowly your palms if you're down onto your forearms. And guide that left heel a little closer toward the front of your right hip. Palms to the floor in front of you. Tuck your toes under on your right foot now to lift the knee. And step all the way back into upward plank. Take a nice slow vinyasa here. Lowering here to hover. Inhale to rise upward. And exhale all the way back into downward dog. Now take a few big breaths here just to stretch out that left knee in particular. Now as you initiate your next inhalation, shift forward into upward plank. Keeping your gaze forward, your elbows tucked in, lower all the way down onto your belly, and then very gently roll over onto your back. Now once you've rolled over, bend your knees to position your heels directly in front of your sitting bones. And we'll move into this first little bridge with the arms extended overhead. So extend your arms overhead, rest the backs of your hands on the floor above, about shoulder width apart. Keeping your head in a central neutral position, tuck the chin toward the chest so the back of the neck is nice and long. Now as you exhale, press into the soles of your feet and lift your hips from the floor. As the hips lift, the inner thighs squeeze in toward each other, just to keep the thighs parallel. With each and the hips lift a little bit higher, as long as there's no discomfort through your lower back. Take one more big breath in, and now one vertebra at a time, lay your spine down onto the ground. As your hips touch ground, reposition your arms at your sides, so your fingertips now reaching toward the heels. So your fingertips should almost brush the heels. That's how close you want your heels to the hips. Preparing to rise back up again, press into the soles of the feet, lift the hips, and this time, interlace your fingers beneath your hips. Work towards straightening the arms. Wiggle the shoulder blades beneath your back. Squeeze the inner thighs in toward each other. The straighter the arms, the deeper the stretch across the tops of the shoulders. Take one more big breath in. Release your hips to the floor. Take a few big breaths. Now one last round of little bridge, but if you prefer to move into full wheel, feel free. As you exhale, press into the soles of the feet to either return to that last variation, or alternatively, bend your elbows to support your pelvis with your hands. So a little more of a lift if you're propped up onto the elbows. Allowing the shoulders to drop as the hips lift, taking deep belly breaths into that wide open chest. Take one more full breath in, release the hips or the hands, lower down. And then without hugging the knees to the chest, just take a few big breaths here, letting your lower back settle all on its own. Now walk your big toes, your knees, your mat, keeping the knees bent. In preparation for reclining cow face pose, cross the right leg as tightly as you can over the left, all the way over. And just let the foot hang there. Now hug your knees to your chest, catching a shin in each hand. So the left hand catches the right shin, the right hand catches the left shin. The closer you can draw the knees to the chest, the deeper the stretch through the hips and the glutes. You might even reach for the outer edges of your feet. The further apart you draw the feet, the deeper the stretch. But just stay mindful of what's going on through the knees. You should pretty much exclusively feel the stretch through the hips and not the knee joints. Now release your feet or your shins. Keep your legs crossed as you lower that left foot back to the floor. Now, if it's available to you, as you would in eagle pose, you might take the leg bind here, securing your right foot around the back of the left calf. Otherwise, just allow the foot to hang there. Now extend your arms out to the sides in a T position. Turn your gaze toward your right hand and slowly begin to lower the knees to the left. You can really play with the pressure through your palms here just to make certain that both shoulders stay connected to the floor as you roll into your twist. If there's any discomfort at all through the lower back, don't hesitate to return to center. A little more effort to twist. And now drawing your head back to center, engage your core, draw the knees back to center, and now release that bind through the legs and just give your knees a nice tight squeeze to your chest. Take a few big breaths. Now release your shins, feet to the floor, knees together, big toes together, to switch sides, crossing the left leg over the right. And without taking the bind here to start off, moving back into reclining cow face. Hug your knees to your chest to catch either a shin in each hand, perhaps the outer edge of a foot in each hand. And again, the closer the knees to the chest, the deeper the stretch. The further apart you draw the feet, the deeper the stretch. Breathing so deeply that your chest and your belly rise up to meet that left thigh. Now releasing your feet or your shins. Keep your legs as you lower your right foot to the floor. So once again, with the option of taking the bind, feel free to let that left foot hang. If it reaches, secure it around the back of the right calf and then lower your right foot back to the floor. Re-extend the arms out to the sides. This time, turn your gaze to the left and gently release the knees to the right, gazing to the left. So the arms, the shoulders become the foundation of this twist. Again, pressing into the palms to keep your shoulders connected to the floor beneath. Now draw your head back to center, engage your core, draw the knees back. And then release the bind through the legs. Unravel your legs to hug your knees back to your chest again. And take a few big breaths here. Now release your shins, lower your feet to the floor. Extend your legs fully down onto your mat for our final posture. Arms resting at your sides, palms open to the ceiling. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible sigh out through the mouth. And once more, a big breath in through the nose, empty through the mouth. And now allow your breath to return to its natural, relaxed rhythm. Let go of the restriction in the back of your throat. As your breath softens, your body softens to the support of the earth beneath. And throughout the practice, your body has shifted into a parasympathetic state. That state where your body rests, digests, and heals itself. So you spent the last 45 minutes or so building the energy, building the prana in your body. Now allow that energy to flow wherever healing needs to occur without any conscious effort on your part. Just allowing your body to heal itself in its own innate. Your posture is simply shifting your attention back to the flow of your breath each time you're distracted by a thought. Allowing your body and your mind to drift into stillness. Now, keeping your eyes closed, slowly begin to resurface. Feel the slightest movement arise through your fingers and toes. Extend your arms out overhead for a full body stand. And now bend your knees, plant your feet to the floor, and roll softly to your right side, resting your head to your upper right arm. Now from here, ease your way into a seated, cross-legged position. Drawing your hands to your heart, opening our eyes to each other. Namaste. Well, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for your practice. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.